Hey guys, what's going on? Tyraku here, and I hope everyone's doing great. Today, I want to talk about something that I know is everyone's favorite subject. So, I actually went over on stream 3v3 Arena last night for about 2 hours or more trying to build my 3v3 team. And what I want to do in this video is go over my team, how it's structured. I'm more than open to any comments, suggestions, questions that you have. Leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll definitely answer them. If you see something you think could be better for my teams, or you're wondering why I did that instead of this, definitely ask it, guys. I'm more than happy to answer it. And hey, I'll probably learn something just as well. So the reason why I want to talk about 3v3 stuff though is because with the patch 3.3 coming out soon, Plarium announced that the weekly tier rewards will, one, be decreased, and two, you have to at least do 10 matches in order to receive those rewards. Those are these down here. You get these at the end of each week. So if you're somebody who's just been coasting along in 3v3, not really worried about it, basically Plarium saying, hey, we made this and you're going to play this. All right. So they want you to get in the arena. They want you to do some 3v3 matches, and they want you to spend that time doing those matches. And they're not very quick. I know a lot of people just skip them, but with this addition, you may want to actually do them. And hopefully this video can give you an idea on how to build a team or build 3 teams that are going to be good for your arena. Now it says, furthermore, we're expanding item pools for each tier in the bazar. This will include charm chests, player avatars for bronze, silver, and gold. So you're definitely gonna want to get bars for that. Fragments of rare void champions required to fuse Broadmaw. Now, this seems a little bit silly. Broadmaw is great. You'll definitely use him for faction wars, for Lizardman faction wars. I use him, and I think a lot of people do use him. But I mean, Broadmaw? Really? Like, instead of using any of these good champions, we're going to go with Broadmaw? I mean, maybe it's just test. I'm hoping this is just a test, more or less, to see how this all works. I would love to see some fragments for any of these previous fusions, which is what a lot of people kind of speculated was going to happen. But who knows, guys? I'm really hoping to see that. That would be awesome. Even if it takes a month or two or several months to get them, hey, at least you're able to get the champions you worked so hard for, but then you got stuck at, like, say, 90 fragments. That's terrible for those people who are unfortunate and have to look at that every day. I know somebody out there has 99 fragments. There has to be. All right, enough about that. Enough about my opinions, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into this tag team arena stuff. So, like I said, last night on stream, I spent a few hours going over my teams, trying to rebuild them. Initially, my team was doing decent, but it was never great. So what I did is I went through and we talked about a few different combinations on stream. And then earlier today, I went through and I've been working on this for several hours now. So it's definitely been quite a bit of time and thought put into this. So hopefully you guys like this, and hopefully it's a good guidance and kind of like a rubric, I guess. I don't know what the best word for it is, but hopefully it helps you with building your teams. So what I have here is, well, first off, it just so happens that my main arena team, which is down here, is actually all together. Initially, I had these broken up. So with 3v3, you can kind of approach it a few different ways. You can approach it, hey, I want to go all out on 2 teams. I want to make the 2 teams the best I can. Champions that are available is a huge hindrance. Obviously, you need at least 12 different champions specifically built for the arena to really make this work. Now, you're probably going to need even more champions than that, but I do highly prioritize defense over offense. The reason why is because if you invest your time into building a good defense team, you can most likely use that on offense, because a good defense is going to have to be played on 100% auto, right? Because whenever an enemy attacks you, you don't control your abilities, so your defense is going to be autoing the entire time. So if your defense is winning battles, then that means that it's winning on auto, whereas you can do some manual intervention and actually start winning on manual. So I definitely think it far outweighs your, I guess, time investment. Your time investment gets a lot more out of it if you invest into your defense. So what I've done here is I've taken some of my champions who I believe are very good for the arena, and I've aligned them in a way that hopefully makes sense for most teams in the arena. So there's a few different strategies you can take. You can take the strategy of going fast, which obviously speed gear is going to hold you back there. You can take the strategy of going second. Obviously, you have to survive the attacks. You can take the strategy of just a blender team, which is another fast team. There's not a whole lot of options, other than going first or going second. Now, going second, don't take this to the extreme, okay? So if you're gonna go second, you still need to be fast. There's nothing worse than being lapped. So if you're in the arena and you know somebody who's fast is probably gonna be like, say, 350 speed, you can't build your champions at 170 speed and then expect to win more than likely, unless they're just like absolute tanks. It's going to be a very long match, but they're going to get 2 turns or even more possibly to your one, which is putting you at a severe, severe disadvantage. So, what I have here is I have my team set up in a way that hopefully makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go through each one individually and kind of think about a few things. First, what I want you guys to think about is, well, when you're building your teams, is what is your win condition? All right. So with this first team, my win condition is Lysandra boosts. So I need to go first. If I don't go first, I'm kind of screwed. I do have a little bit of a backup plan for that, but I really need to go first. So first, Lysandra goes. Umbral places her provoke on everybody. Doom Priest cleanses. Actually, no, it's Doom Priest goes next, and then Umbral places her provoke, places the block cooldown debuff on herself, and then Ray, ideally, uses her banish ability, which removes buffs and does good damage. They most likely don't die during that turn, but Doom Priest has placed increased attack, so Ray has an even better attack now. Around for the next turn, Lysandra is hopefully reducing the turn meter of their fastest person. Doom Priest cleanses the debuff from Umbral, and then Umbral places block buffs on the entire enemy team, and then Ray hopefully nukes them down. If she hasn't won at this point, then ideally they're still under provoke, and if they're not under provoke, they're at least under block cooldowns or block buffs, and then we possibly get another turn. So this team, the win condition is, hey, I need to go first, and Ray needs to nuke. I also, as like a backup plan, I have Doom Priest wearing a shield set. Doom Priest, I think, is incredible in a shield set because of the simple fact that other than speed, some defense, and a lot of HP, she really doesn't need anything else. You need to speed tune her to make sure that she makes sense where she's going in your team, because it does have a cleanse every turn. So definitely, like if you have an Umbral, make sure she goes pretty close to Umbral, because you want her to be able to cleanse Umbral's debuff as soon as possible, or at least before Umbral's next turn. So make it make sense. I have my Doom Priest, like I said, in a shield set, and she's pretty good. I'll jump in here and show you guys all the champions gear. But first off, I want to go through kind of the idea of the teams, and then maybe you can follow along and build a team similar. So this is a fast team into a provoke champion, into a nuke champion. That's essentially the bare bones of it. The other support champion has a shield set to hopefully absorb some damage. My second team is a go second team. So ideally what's going to happen here is you can have Seeker in one of these two positions, okay? So my Duchess has about 650 resistance. If I run Rosin as the leader, that boosts her up to like 740 resistance. So she's resisting most things. My Skytouch Shaman now is in an immunity set. So ideally what's going to happen here is that if any debuffs are placed, the only people who are going to get them is Rosin and Seeker. Well, that's perfectly fine. These are my supports. These people are going to, Duchess specifically, is going to bring back anybody who died. She is slower than Skytouched. The number one goal for Duchess here is to survive. I don't want any decreased defense. I don't want her buffs removed. I don't want nothing like that. I want her to just survive. That's really all she needs to do. Seeker is crucial here. What he does is whenever he's hit with a critical hit, he places increased defense on all allies. Now, one thing that is going to be so valuable if you use Seeker is it does matter where he's at on the team. So if he's in this first position right here, they hit you with an AoE ability and it hits with a crit on Seeker. What's going to happen is he's going to place increased defense on all allies. All the allies are going to have the increased defense, and then the damage from that AoE ability will activate. However, and everybody's protected, okay? However, if Rosin is in this first spot, and if let's say Seeker moved all the way back here. You're building your team, you wasn't thinking nothing about it, Seeker's back there. They're going to hit with an AoE ability. All of these people are going to take the damage. Seeker's going to activate the increased defense. If he's right here, Rosin's dead, and then these two people are most likely protected. So make sure, if possible, Seeker can be in the very first spot or at least the second spot. You want him as close to the first position as possible because you want that increased defense to activate. Now, if you're not using Seeker, you can use any champion with a defensive aura, works great as the leader. any champion who's going to help your other champions survive. Now, my Seeker is in a shield set because my Duchess, while she has a decent amount of HP, she definitely needs more. So I have Seeker in a shield set that is giving Duchess what is like an extra HP, but it's actually a shield. Duchess has high resistance, so the enemies can't remove, or at least not very easily, remove that shield. They can't remove her buffs, so on and so forth. Sky Touched is wearing an immunity set, so she's really only weak to Madames. When you're building your teams, you need to think about what people you kind of face a lot in the arena. Obviously, you can't build a counter for every team. You just need to think, hey, this team, what do they counter? What is the obvious standout that is very strong against this team? Obviously, this team is weak against anybody with a very high accuracy Madame. They just remove all my stuff, and then it's kind of over. However, I have added one layer of protection to that. My Sky Touched and Immunity set means that most likely they're going to go Speed Booster of some kind into a Madame who removes buffs, and they're going to remove Sky Touched's block debuffs, which is what the immunity gives you. They're going to remove that, and then once their nuke champion attacks, they're going to activate Seeker's increased defense. So I have no shields anymore. I have no block debuffs or nothing like that, but I do have that increased defense, so it does give me that extra chance to survive. So keep that in the back of your mind, like, hey, whenever an enemy attacks, whenever an enemy who most likely will beat my team, when they attack, what is their win condition, and is there anything I can do to make it a little bit more difficult? So let's say that the Madame knew, hey, if I remove Sky Touched buffs right now, then I'm going to have a problem later on. Then the nuke champion goes, my Sky Touched puts up block revive, and that may set up a worse situation, but either way, my Rosalind gets a chance to go. My Rosalind's role here is to be the main damage dealer. He synergizes very, very well with Seeker, and he is geared with Savage gear and has like 220% crit damage, so he's very solid. He has enough accuracy to hopefully, he has about 200 accuracy, which should be enough to reduce the turn meter, at least on the DPS champions. So the damage dealers, the threats to my team, they're going to be mitigated, okay? So unless somebody's actually building for resistance, I mean, I'd rather my Rosalind be closer to like 300 accuracy, but unless somebody's actually building specifically for resistance, they're probably not going to have more than 300 resistance. My Siphi, for example, has a resistance banner. She has some resistance in the Great Hall, nothing crazy. She's approaching that 300 mark. So most people are not going to have a resistance banner just sitting on their damage dealing champion. Some people will, definitely, and they'll resist him, but most people probably won't. So your typical damage dealer is going to have, where I'm at in the arena right now, this is obviously not high end gold 4, but where I'm at in the arena, 3v3, most people will probably have between 100, 150-ish to about 200, 250-ish resistance on their damage dealers. Probably not much more than that. Now, obviously, your support champions, they're going to have more resistance built into them, but Rosin has a very good chance of reducing their turn meter and then kind of helping my team catch up. Every one of these champions, except for Rosin, has about 200 speed. I do have the speed boost from Seeker, so if you do build a team that's slow, make sure you have some way to either reduce their turn meter, reduce their speed, or allow you to catch up to them in some way or another, because if you just have a slow team, you're just going to get destroyed. Like there's no way around it, because if they can take 3 turns or even 2 turns to your 1 turn, the likelihood of you actually doing good is very, very low. Now, my final team is another fast team. Very simple. This one's very good against Torments. Obviously, people using Torments are not going to attack this team, but this team is what I use to attack Torment teams. This is very good. This is my fastest team. This is my best team. I've put it on team 3, not necessarily because that's the best strategy, though it could possibly be. A lot of people assume that the first 2 teams are the best and the third team is the worst. So, I mean, if you put your best team on the 3rd slot, there's a slight possibility somebody doesn't move their teams around and they just attack your team not knowing, and you beat them. This is my fastest team. Very simple. Turn meter boost into, block debuffs, speed boost, Siphi. Siphi does Siphi things, into remove buffs and decrease defense, decrease attack, and then to Skull Crown nuke. So this team, very fast, typical speed team, very basic. So let me jump in here and show you guys a match and kind of how it works out. So that's all the defense side of things. It's kind of how the defense works. Now, another reason why I really want to focus on the defense is because when you jump into an offensive battle, let's just go ahead and pick anybody at random. You have the freedom to do whatever you want here. You can literally customize every one of your teams to directly counter the enemy. Obviously, that's going to take a lot of work. You may not want to actually do that every single time, but it is something you can do. So this team, I don't like this team in the middle, honestly, because what's happening here is the Valkyrie is going to increase her turn meter, decrease my turn meter if I start placing buffs. So if I use this team, which is where my nuke champion is at, if I use this team against this team, it's going to be bad. Obvious, they're running pretty high resistance, but I'm thinking, okay, I can tell that they're trying to run high resistance because of their aura right here, okay? So these are both resistance auras. You can look at Warlord, 80 resistance in all battles. So, okay, I'm thinking, well, I need to be careful with my debuffs because they may or may not land. Another thing to look at is total power, okay? So if you have a player power that's high, it's typically because of either crit rate or, which is the more likely reason, is high resistance. As you can see, my team down here with my high resistance is 265,000 player power. This team has a champion with 460 resistance and a champion with about 650 resistance. And I know that if this team has that this team, most likely with 172,000 player power, probably doesn't have enough resistance to actually resist my champions. So I'm going to move my Lysandra down to this team. My Lysandra has she has 450 accuracy. So hopefully she can reduce their turn meter. And then Umbral, who is sitting at about 400, I believe, 469 accuracy. Hopefully she can place the provoke, and then everybody's just kind of canceled out. I'll definitely be faster, so always keep that in mind. If you have a fast team, use that against the teams you know you'll be faster. I mean, I know I'm faster than this team. I know I'm faster than this team. And this team, they're going to go first, but this team is designed to go second. So even if they do hit me pretty hard, that's perfectly fine. That's what this team is made for. It's made to take that damage right off the bat. Like I said, I don't want to use Siphi on this team because of Warlord. This team, this will come with understanding, but what they're going to try to do on this team is use Cardinal to stay alive. The other enemies die, and then Cardinal resurrects everybody with full turn meter. I got to keep that in mind. Should be perfectly fine. Nobody here is a real threat. So let's go ahead and jump into this battle and see how it plays out. I'll play it on 100% auto, just to show you guys how this would react on my defense. So everything's playing out. Obviously, it's best if you can use champions who work well on auto. Some champions don't perform very well on auto. So when you're building your defensive teams, make sure the champions, or try to, if possible, make sure they work on auto. Now this team, what you're going to want to see here is hopefully she uses this A3 ability and we land our stuff. So hopefully we don't see, so we see one resisted right there. We see no resisted there. So it looks like they're about 450 resistance probably. They're not very high because a 450 accuracy champion was resisted, but my 469 accuracy champion was not resisted. So obviously, while I'm not going to fight this team again, it's pretty obvious now, hey, this team does not have crazy high resistance. And this is what I was talking about. I don't know if I touched on it too much, but either way, if you can't invest too much resistance into your champions, don't even go resistance. Because if you have to put gear onto a champion just for them to get to, say, 400 resistance, and it's taken away stats like better HP, better defense, better crit rate, better crit damage, something that's actually valuable to you, just don't even build a champion like that. Because champions like my Lysandra can apply their debuffs no problem. And that's really not something that you want. You want to focus on the areas that make the most sense, that's going to give you the most value overall. And I just don't think building a champion with resistance and missing out all those other good stats is the best idea to invest in, to be honest. Now, obviously, if I did this in auto or manual, I could have beat this team. I wouldn't be whacking the side champions. I'd be playing this a lot differently. But hey, this team doesn't have a resurrect champion. That is the one downside. Skytouch Shaman would be better than Doom Priest here because she does bring a revival and death, which would be perfect. But she's on my other team. I don't have another one of her. So that team's just going to take a loss. No problem. I could even use a little bit better champions. Wait, why is this Ray in here? Okay, so Ray wasn't supposed to be in that team. Ray was supposed to be in the previous team, and Rosin was supposed to be in this team. I guess I switched them out earlier. But either way, this should be fine. This team's pretty tanky, pretty survivable. We have the Revival and Death, which works very well. So this works out good. Hopefully, I mean, we have the res from Duchess. So this just gets made up very, very easily. I have a Rector Drath as well. If I wanted to use somebody instead of Duchess, Rector Drath works great. She has a Veil. She has some good survivability overall. Very, very solid champion. But here, like you're seeing, this would have been better with Razin in this team and Ray in the previous team. But either way, ultimately, just make sure your teams line up against what the enemy's weaknesses should be. Really pay attention to what their player power is at. Pay attention to their other stats. Keep like a mental note of like, hey, this is what a normal player power is. This is what a high player power is. For example, this player power of 284,000, that's coming from this Mountain King. I can almost guarantee that. Now, I have a champion with very high accuracy. A Madame will be able to remove, let's go ahead and guess. Let's guess. This guy probably has a shield buff on him. He's probably wearing a shield set, probably very high accuracy. Or somebody in here has a shield. It's probably him, because Mountain King can make a very big shield. This team is a very nuke-heavy team. They're going to want to go hard. They have Trunda with a Zargala as well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my bottom team, who's made to take a lot of damage. I'm going to put my Seeker in the lead, because they're going to try to remove my buffs, for sure. That's perfectly fine. But if I have my Razin in the lead, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. So if I want the best chance of surviving, I'm going to have to put my Seeker in the lead to really make sure my Razin survives, so then he can decrease their turn meter and then hopefully get a cut in. And then my very last team, this is going to work well. In order for that last team to beat me, they have to have their team very well speed tuned. Because if they're Gorgorab, say 300 speed, that would mean that their next in line would have to be like 270 speed, probably maybe 250, something like that. They have to be very, very high. Where my team, 295, and then she's like 240, I think. So definitely this team is going to be very hard for somebody to speed tune. That's why if you're building a team to go fast, it's very, very helpful if you have like a increased speed, an increased turn meter, and then another champion who does like an increased turn meter or gives a speed buff. If you have somebody with a speed buff, make sure they go before, preferably, the increased turn meter champion, because speed buffs work out better in the long run, whereas increased turn meters don't go up as well throughout the turns. It's a little bit hard to explain, but if you go to the Deadwood Jedi Arena calculator, you can really see this broken down very well. If you plug in your champions and you have like a Siphi go first and then an Arbiter go second, and then swap those positions and see how fast your third and fourth person would need to be, it's a very, very good way to see, hey, this is the difference between having a speed buff champion first and then having a speed buff champion go second. So let's see how this match plays out. They have more player power than me. That's strictly because they were running a little bit more resistance on that second team, I believe. So this is going to be bad. Like, they're going to do a lot of damage, most likely. Okay, so I guess that increased defense kind of, well, really padded the blow there. As you can see, the Madame did not apply anything to my Duchess, turning on auto here. Obviously on auto, she decides, hey, let's not res anybody. She resisted that. Razin died, and then Duchess says, okay, come back, everybody. Now, obviously, we're kind of falling behind here, but everybody is under Veil. Obviously, this is where Duchess is really strong. My Skytouch Shaman's taking a turn. Fortunately, she didn't get very much of a heal. Hopefully, Razin reduces their turn meter. Even if they have block debuffs, Razin can still reduce turn meter. So that's very, very good. Duchess is in a very, very, very bad spot here. I wish he would have decreased turn meter there. I can't really make those changes, though. So ultimately, this team just gets beaten down. Now, if Skytouch would have taken more damage, if she would have used that ability first, there's a lot of things that I would have done here on manual that would have made more sense. But to go up against this team and to have survived fairly well, it's not too bad. I mean, this team had a lot of things they could have done better. I don't know why Razin didn't use his A3 exactly. Maybe he tried to use it. Maybe he got set on cooldown. I don't really know. But ultimately, this is the match that looked the most intimidating. This is the one that's most likely their best team. So the other two should be fairly easy or fairly smooth sailing. And this is the ultimate goal. I mean, obviously, you want to win all three if you can. But the ultimate goal is, hey, let's win at least 2 of 3. So then at least you get a victory overall. My Skull Crown here, she's not going to die. She's unkillable. She has counterattack. See, we stripped that Mountain King and everything was easy. And then this team, turn on auto. We're faster than Gorgorab. Even if we wasn't, it'd be so hard for them to continue, like actually not get speed cut. It'd be very, very difficult. And then here, Doom Priest is going to remove Umbral's debuff. Umbral places block buffs on the enemy team, and then Ray just goes in. So that team has third team has a few turns where I got a lot of room to work with. I have a lot of things I can do there. Very, very solid for those turns. Now, if I wanted to go back on that team, like say if I was to lose both of those or something, if I was to lose another one, I could definitely go back in there and just move my champions around. Like you can take your champions, obviously. You don't have to use those same 3 teams every time. But say instead of Rosin, I wanted to use my Skull Crown because Skull Crown I know wouldn't die because she has unkillable. Well, I throw Skull Crown in there. She's speed tuned. She has an avenging set on anyways, so she's going to have really good damage going out. And overall, very, very solid champion. Rosin is in there because he does so good with the decreased turn meter. It's a very nice addition overall. And my Skull Crown's being used in the other team. Rosin was mostly in there when I wanted him as a resistance lead, so my Duchess could have even more resistance. But at this point, there's currently like in Silver 4, I don't need that much resistance. So I can go with a Seeker lead, leave Rosin as a second position, and the team works out very well overall. And it synergizes very, very good with the increased defense from Seeker. So overall, guys, let me jump in here. One last thing is the champion's gear and what it looks like, okay? So I'm just going to do the stats. I'm not going to go through each individual piece of gear. If you have a question on any specific champion, definitely let me know down below. I'll be more than happy to show you the champion. I'm just going to go through the gear, though, give you an idea of what you're looking at. Hopefully I can remember all the champions I have. Rosin's in Savage gear, pretty tanky, pretty good defense. And that's the thing, guys, is like with Arena, it requires so much dedicated gear. That's 98%. That's terrible, 98%. But it requires so much dedicated gear that it makes it hard to really, focus on Arena. And I can understand why so many people don't want to focus on 3v3. They don't have the time for it because it does take time. It does take quite a bit of time. And if you really want your teams to make sense, work very well, and to actually win most of your offense battles, you're going to have to switch your teams around. You're going to have to substitute champions in. You're going to basically have to customize a counter team to your enemy's team, basically every time, if you really want to do well. Obviously, there's a lot of teams you can just go in and press auto with. Most of the time, you can do that. But if you want to be very consistent, you're going to have to learn, hey, this champion does good against this champion. This is strong here, so on and so forth, and make those changes as necessary. So Sky Touch was there. Umbral's right here. I think we got this chick. Was this all? I don't actually, okay, we have Doom Priest. I think this may be the last one. Shield set. So I have 2 champions in shield set. I have Doom Priest and my Seeker in shield set as well, which he's right here. Really want as much padding, much extra assistance that I can get possible. It just helps me out overall, guys. So hopefully this helps you with kind of getting an overall idea of 3v3, my thought processes on it. I'll probably do some account takeovers for 3v3. Maybe help some people out, maybe on stream soon. If you want to catch that, twitch.tv/Tyraku. I would love. So, and I stream every day from 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. Eastern time. Either way, guys, I hope you could get something from this video. I hope that it helped you out in some way. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.